Welcome, everybody, to Big Time Fresh with your host, Bella Mars.
Yay, now I don't have to do it myself and be super
I'm
awkward.
digging it.
Right? Okay, I can close that window out. Welcome, guys. We are here with JP and Roberta on our series with the 7 deadly sins, because it was very interesting getting the summary of all 7 sins, and we had to break it down because there's just a lot going on. So welcome again, Roberta.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
You're part of the permanent crew at this point, the JP Roberta side.
I'm so happy.
The serious topic side. I think the next one I'm publishing is, we went through my Tinder profile, like analyzing it. Like I was like, is this, when you look at this, is it too much OnlyFans style? She's like, yeah. I'm like, what? So we went through each picture and I was like, that one's not that bad, and that one's not that bad, and that one's not that bad. And then we reviewed my bio, like what I actually wrote. But the whole point was to, like, I found the craziest, weirdest bios, and from all over the country. So we'll see how that goes. But this is why I like the balance, because it's like, that's funny, but I also want to know about things that are interesting and applicable to the general population and are just interesting. So I think 7 deadly sins is a perfect one, because I know what the words are. I know what they mean just through the movie 7, because I haven't researched it any further than that. So Roberta is super awesome for doing that research, and very intelligently. So I trust, this is going to be a pretty good conversation. So I'm excited.
I hope so.
Resident expert.
Yeah.
What is that?
With
what
beautiful makeup. Oh my goodness.
Thank you. I'm like trying to theme my makeup around what we have going on. So I don't know if you could tell, but I got some like sparkles and stuff like that. I'm just trying to push a little,
push the glam.
Push the glam a little.
We're gonna end up with the 7 sins having like Oscar gear, like we're going to the Academy Awards, and JP's gonna be like, "What's up, guys? I got my black hat and my black shirt."
That's it.
And this is how I dress to the Met Gala, which is acceptable. So
yeah, that's
what I like.
Me too. I got
as you should.
Fun.
Why not?
Right?
Same. The fit does not match what's going on up here. It's like glam, and then summer, like, don't care.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I wanted to let you guys know that I did get my tickets to come see you guys.
Yeah.
So, and it's right around Roberta's time. I think I come a day later, and all right. And JP, I told you too that I was going to do the Airbnb like experience, so that I can have a relaxing, like, real me time, which I've never taken. Right. So usually we were talking, Roberta, how like we always go on trips, and if we go by ourselves, it's because we're going to something that we like, a wedding or whatever, graduation or work trip. So this trip would be purely like to hang out with friends that I love and be by myself. And so I'm very looking forward to October. So it's going to be good.
Yeah. Let me, you're probably good on your own. And I'm probably terrible at saying, go do this, go do that. Like the music scene's not terrible here, Bella. You might want to look up some venues while you're here.
That's a good point. I should. But anyway, so Roberta, what do you have for us today?
I was like, what's something that's going to really hit, right? Thinking about what we have in the economy going on right now, debt ceiling, all that. So we're talking about greed today.
Yay! Sweet. Yeah. That's a good one to start with.
Yeah, right? So before we get into it, I want to ask you guys, when you hear or think of greed, like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
JP?
first thing that comes to my mind when it comes to greed is taking from others
Mhm.
to benefit yourself, and also not appreciating and being content with what you already have.
Mhm.
Totally makes sense.
Mhm.
Not to be one of those people, but I think of corporate greed
Mhm.
because, and it's the same concept, but like you will stop at nothing. Nothing makes a difference. I want what I want, and I'll take it from whoever I need to take it from because it's all about me and
Yeah.
Dog eat
what I
dog.
want. Yeah,
Dog eat dog.
dog eat dog.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. To climb up the ladder, you got to pull others down, right? That sort of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Good. So you guys are like basically spot on.
Of
I thought,
course.
instead of us going diving more into like the religious aspect of it, I think if we do something like a little bit more all encompassing, and just the understanding of greed itself would be really good, because not
Yeah.
everybody has that religious connection, right? And so like
Hmm.
starting when we talked about it, it was good just because that's what we know it from. You hear seven deadly sins, it makes you think of religion.
Right.
But in general, it's
Hmm.
something that it's kind of a societal thing as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays. I think people hold on.
Yes.
I think people don't even recognize it over the past
No.
couple of years.
Or it's celebrated,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the official definition per Merriam-Webster, greed is a selfish and excessive desire for more of something, whether it be money, material possessions, it could even be like food, it could be property, anything that you can think of. You just want it more in excess, right? And of course, money. We think of money when we think of greed as well. And it's more than what is needed, right? And
Okay.
so, yeah, it could be there's this material gain. It's also associated with like an uncontrolled longing. Um, and in its history as greed, as long as it's existed, there has been this undesirableness to it, right? Because it creates this behavior conflict scenario. Your behavior is greed. What
Hmm.
is the conflict that arises from your greed, right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
um yeah, and so oftentimes, especially within history, and has as it has gone throughout decades and decades,
Hmm.
centuries even, it has been thought to be a part, or leading up to what's called the dark triad, which
Mm.
is it's I'm sorry, it's the dark triad of personality is what it's called. So it's this is a fun one. Machiavellianism.
Whoa.
Machiavellianism. JP, that's a new one for you. What do you guys think of when you hear Machiavellianism?
Tupac.
Yeah, me too. I was gonna say me too.
Hail
Immediately.
Mary.
No, it totally makes me think of Tupac too. I think that's how you could tell we're all California born.
Like
And it was a great album.
instantly.
It was a great album.
Yeah.
Yes. But more of Machiavellism is like getting rid of those who may not necessarily want to live that sort of life. Machiavelli is a very interesting character, and we could go more into him, but I'm not going to. But one of the things that always stands out to me about Machiavelli is when the Irish potato famine was going on,
Mhm.
and like people couldn't feed their families, couldn't feed their kids because
Couldn't
there was
make
no
liquor.
potatoes. Couldn't make liquor, right? Dear God, the Irish couldn't
Ah.
drink.
Wow, yeah. It's the darkest
actually-
era of their existence, I'm
Dark.
sure.
Terrible.
That's why so many left. They just couldn't. They couldn't get their booze, man. I had to find it elsewhere. He suggested that the Irish eat their kids because they had more excess of that than potatoes.
So this is a person?
This is a person, yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. Machiavelli. His first name is Malcolm Machiavelli, I believe it is.
Oh, that's a cool name.
Yes. And so there's Machiavellianism, this dark triad still, narcissism, and psychopathy.
And those are
And
all
it's
related to
Yeah, it's the dark triad, in which I guess it makes
Ooh.
you
The worst person
undesirable. Yeah, yeah. Apparently.
So what was it? Narcissism?
Narcissism, psychopathy, being a psychotic essentially, and Machiavellianism.
Wow.
So you don't necessarily have to be, does it, or well, I guess I should ask, with greed, could it also be something that's not tangible, thereby like greed for accolades? Greed
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Oftentimes it is reduced to something that is tangible, something material. However, I don't think it has to be. And especially like
Attention.
You said, JP, yes, let's bring this into the modern world, right? Something that we crave is that attention. Think of
6 seconds of fame.
influencers. Yes. YouTubers, that kind of stuff. The people who come and go.
Us,
right? We're greedy for views and listens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit that like button, subscribe. I'm greedy for it.
What's the other one?
Hit it.
Ring that bell for notifications to hear us whenever we come on or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. It's almost like that instant gratification that we get, right? And especially from social media. So
that's hilarious. I get that from mowing my lawn.
The instant gratification.
Oh, I can see that.
That's different though, because you've put in the hard work. You busted your ass mowing your lawn. I do the same thing. After I'm done with my yard work, I will go to the sidewalk and sit there and just look at it and be like, I did that, right? Because
and I'm prideful because it looks better than my neighbors.
There you go. We're not on pride yet. Don't go there.
I'm okay.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I still put cologne on for this podcast.
I love it. Oh, we're gonna have a field day with pride when we get there.
Oh boy.
We're talking about greed. So
talking about greed. But you're right. It is. It's the accolades. It's almost as if there's like an addiction to it, right? And so that addiction sort of feeds that greed, or vice versa, depending on how you want to look at it.
Wow.
So that's an excellent point, JP.
Could be considered a disease of sorts, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or a condition.
Or a condition. Yeah.
So, in the modern day.
Yeah.
So anyone that's legit, not allergic, addicted to drugs would be considered greedy, right? Because they can't, they'll do whatever it takes to get it, even though they can't really control it.
Yeah, and they just want more and more and more of it, right?
Good segue. Yep.
Yeah, it'll never be enough.
Correlation.
Yep. It's never a satisfaction, right?
Yeah,
there's always
you're never content.
Never content. Exactly. And that is actually a part of greed. You're never content. You're constantly wanting more and more and more. So
I'm writing notes. That's why I was able to make the connection quicker.
So let's kind of, you're so funny, go down a little bit deeper. Yeah. What do you think the initial motivation for greed is?
Ooh. JP, do you want me to go or you want to go?
Yeah. No, I'm lost. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so what was it again?
What's the initial motivation
for greed?
I would say status, or sometimes even desperation, maybe. Like you are in a position where you've never experienced wealth or a good situation, and then all of a sudden you get it, and the feeling of getting it is better than not having anything at all. So you become greedy in the sense that you have to get more and more and more because you're addicted to that feeling. But it comes, or it stems from, like, not having anything. And then the other one is just, what was the other one I was thinking? Status. Like, I want to be, yeah. Those are my, or powerful.
Serotonin.
So again, going back to that immediate gratification, right? Right, JP, is that what you're... Yeah, the dopamine.
Dopamine,
yeah.
Serotonin, yeah.
Yeah, the happy feeling that it gives you, even if it is fleeting. Yeah. Okay, I like both of those. I love them. So there could be two different schools of thought, really, when it comes to greed. So like you were saying, it could be a promotion of personal or possibly family survival. Because sometimes what's spurring greed is, man, I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to live in this world, right? And then what happens if you find success in doing what you're doing, and that greed monster takes a hold of you, and you're like, ooh, and you continue to think, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for self-preservation, right?
Well,
but maybe it doesn't go there anymore.
You know, as always in life, there's balance, right? So where greed would be negative, you can be greedy about a positive. You take joy in being altruistic and doing things for others.
Yeah, we're going to circle back to that one. So I want you to keep that in your back pocket. Yeah.
Cool.
That's interesting. I see where you're going, but yeah. Okay.
I can't wait to revisit that. It could also, if you think about it, so on one hand, you have trying to survive, right? That could stem it. On the other hand, you have the intent to deny or obstruct somebody else's survival.
Oh. So
fear of loss.
This guy fucking came in, like, slowly started taking things away from me.
Insidious. In an insidious way. Oh.
I'm so happy you said that, JP. Go ahead.
No, that's pretty much it. And then looking back, I'm like, people really do that. Like, I was so naive, and I was so hopeful that, like, I would never experience something like that. I've put 10 years of loyalty into this company. Why would somebody do that to me? I love it, and I'm doing really well. I know that for a fact. And, all my clients love me. And then this shit happens, and it blew my mind. It had turned my world upside down. And then I was like, this isn't about me.
JP, the reason why I'm so happy that you said insidious, well, one, I know it's your word. It's one of your favorite words.
Isn't that your Xbox handle or your PlayStation 4? Insidious J?
Insidious J.
I remember that.
There it is.
That's so funny.
That guy went dormant a long time ago.
He did. But there are oftentimes words that are associated with greed. Insidious is one of them. And
where's my sound effect for, like, the applause and the ding the bell and, like, I need my accolades. I'm just kidding. Don't click it.
No.
Do it.
Oh, dang it. I took it out.
Uh-oh. Oh.
Sweet.
Oh, wait, no. I found a better one. Yeah.
I like it. But insidious and tyranny is another one.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's tyranny. Up at the top. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you guys this. Is there a difference between greed and self-interest?
Yeah.
What is it to you? What's the difference to you?
Self-interest can be it can be a positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Self-interest could be a positive. Yeah, sure. Um, so I could my self-interest could be to learn something for myself that could make me a better spouse, a better parent. And I selfishly have to take time to learn that thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always going to try and find the positive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
no, I think self-interest, unless I'm not thinking of self-interest the right way, it can be a positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah, I guess self-interest, the way I see it too, is something that's going to benefit you specifically, and it doesn't have to take something away from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good point.
But like if you're doing something in your self-interest, it could be like if somebody's trying to pin a crime on you and you're like you didn't have to say anything, but you're going to say something because it's in your best self-interest to not be involved. Like you were at a scene of a crime and nobody mentions you yet, but in my own self-interest, like I'm going to give any information that they need, because if I don't, then maybe I'll become a suspect. Something like that. So I say no for now, but I'm excited to hear what it is for real.
Oh my gosh, did we just like disagree?
Really? You disagree? Okay, tell me.
No, I did, because you said no, there's no difference, and I said there's a difference. I think this is the first time that has ever happened.
Yes.
Okay. This is exciting.
I'm actually kind of excited about that, because greed and self-interest, they can go hand in hand, right? Because if we're doing something that is an interest for ourselves, obviously, we are doing something that we're hoping is working towards a positive, right? We are going to work hard for that promotion, or to make that money that we want to make, or to get that big house that we want so we can help provide for our family. Self-interest, I think you're thinking of yourself, but like JP said, maybe there's some in a little bit in the back of the mind of who you are doing or who is going to benefit from it in addition to you, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I think that there is a very fine line between self-interest and greed, and it could be sometimes we can toggle between the two. And I think it's more having the self-awareness of knowing,
yeah.
am I doing this out of self-interest, or am I doing this out of greed?
And whether they care, right? So I think immediately when it came down to politicians, there's no way that of course, greed and self-interest go hand in hand. So I'm going to pass this bill. For example, the thing that's going with George Santos, he had committed unemployment fraud, where he was getting $24,000 of unemployment while he was employed. So then he introduced a bill to the House that would lessen the amount of oversight of people who are considered to be breaking the law with things like unemployment fraud, if I had that right. So it was in his self-interest to even introduce that, because he's being greedy and looking out for his own self-interest.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like a correlation between the two. But
Self-preservation.
Self-preservation.
I think that's what I was.
Yeah. So let's hear a little bit more, JP, from you on that.
Yeah.
About how it could be a positive in self-interest.
Let me okay. Food, for example. You learn to become a better cook and learn more about food. to have your family, like have my wife enjoy what I cook more. So, but that is a self-interest. It's she didn't ask me to do it. I'm really doing it for me. Now that I say it out loud, and and again, you're right, because it's a fine line. Am I doing that because I want accolades from her? I want her to appreciate me. But I think there are scenarios where, or yes, of course that would benefit me, but it is going to benefit other people as well, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that you're right, that there is a fine line, but I certainly think that there are times that, I guess when you're maybe learning something, that would be kind of you do walk that tightrope. I think acquisition of material would be, you want to acquire more money to take care of your family, and that is a fine line. But I can certainly think of times of thinking to do things that I want to do that aren't solely beneficial for me.
On the other hand, if you're telling yourself you're doing something that is in your best interests, it's not even coming from somebody else, and you're saying, let's see, I'm gonna go get all this toilet paper because COVID's hitting and people are freaking out because they think it's a pooping disease, and
that was funny.
Right, I'm gonna grab all this toilet paper because it is in my self-interest to sell it at a higher rate to people who are desperate for it.
That is a great example of greed.
Thank you. Yeah. So,
and then others might want to grab a bunch of it so that they can share it with their neighbors.
Exactly. So sometimes hoarding is considered greed, but I think it depends on what you do with what you hoard, right? Are you giving it out? Or are you trying to sell it at a greater cost so you can get some profit off of it? And
that's where integrity comes in play, right? If somebody saw me buying a pallet of toilet paper, but they didn't know that I lived around, not likely, but a dozen elderly people that can't make it to the store.
Yeah.
And I'm going to supply it with them. So that's why we, shouldn't judge. But, more than likely in the world that we live in, if somebody's buying that much, they're trying to turn a profit, right?
Yeah. So what about the idea that greed is a part of human nature? Do you agree?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Survival.
Yeah.
Instinct. Instinctively, you want to survive.
Yeah. Especially if there's, you have more people that are depending on you, then I feel like your greed is going to be, there's going to be a lower threshold for, rejecting where this is greedy because there's other people like relying on you.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's just one of the 7 sins that everybody has, which makes complete sense.
And we're actually going to go back to survival of the fittest too. What were you going to say, JP?
I will give you a great example of my greed.
Please do.
So, I want to be successful in my career, right? So I do extra in my career for a multitude of reasons. 1, I want to get ahead. 2 is, and I've talked about this, I have a little bit of imposter syndrome, so I kind of have to work a little bit harder. I might think that I'm doing that to be a better provider for my family, whether, monetary, this and that. But ultimately, I'm also going potentially for a title, right? And I could selfishly be thinking that, like, hey, I'm going to be a better provider. When all in all, my wife might say, look, I'm very happy with our lifestyle. We don't need to make more money. Like, we have everything we need. This and that. And so that's where that fine line will come into play, where I have to remind myself that, hey, it's not, you're doing this for you. Now, if you're doing that, you're doing it for your family, right? So it can be very, very tricky.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a tricky one because at the same time I see that as a like an honorable thing that you want to put the work in to become, have a higher title. But yeah, well, actually, it's just because you're putting the work in yourself. You're
Mhm.
not stepping on people to get there.
Well,
You're
but I
doing it.
am. But I
How's
am.
that?
Because if I work too much, then I'm stepping on my family. I'm taking away from their time.
Being greedy. Oh,
You're being greedy with your own time, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
that's
Tricky.
pretty cool. Or a
Fine
cool,
line.
Mm.
Fine
Fine
line.
yeah.
line.
Because
Fine
you
line.
you want to do better for your own status to prove to yourself that you believe that you are worthy of being there, and so you'll do what it takes to show that you're successful by putting in those extra hours, therefore being greedy with your own time and then not using that time with your family. Is that
Balance. It's all about
Balance.
balance.
Oh yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah.
bad at I'm really bad at, at that, or I
I'm
used to
terrible
be.
at it.
Look where it led me. I put in so many of those hours. I only spent 10 weeks for maternity leave. So
Oh
essentially,
my
like,
God.
I had to take my baby into daycare at 10 weeks old. I didn't even take 3 months off, all because imposter syndrome. If I want to keep my job, I got to prove that I'm doing that. And I'll prove by, sending my daughter to daycare earlier in her life to prove that I want to come back to work. Like, looking back, like, that was a decision that I could never, or a time that I could never get back. And that was all because of greed and wanting to, succeed and prove that I belonged there. And so yeah,
Can
that
you see
sounds
that
like
line?
greed.
Can you see
That
it?
line?
It's
Yeah.
you can't see it. That's how much of a fine line it is.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Mm-hmm. It is. Well, let's talk about greed in our culture,
Ooh.
It's everywhere.
right? It's everywhere. First and foremost, well, let's do a little bit of background first. Greed as a cultural quality. Um, it has always kind of, let's talk about like civilized, cultures. Greed has always been a racial pejorative um, by ancient Greeks and Romans. It's been around since then. With ancient Greeks and Romans, the more you had, the wealthier you were. Think about the Roman Empire and that sort of thing, right? There was such excess there. Um, and then as we go on, it's been used against Egyptians, Punics, and others of Asian descent,
Well,
especially during that time. And this is something when in the Middle Ages is when the whole idea that the Jewish people are greedy. This is something that has continued in our society to this day.
yeah,
Wow.
Day.
Yeah.
what's pejorative mean?
Yeah. Me too.
All
I
right.
know the word and I used to
No.
remember, but
No, I don't know that word. Nope.
I think it
Okay.
means like the same or whatever. Yeah.
No,
What is
it's
the
expressing like contentment or disapproval, like you're disapproving of somebody. So
okay? I was
Can you
looking
use
they
it in a
were
sentence, please?
the Greeks and the Romans were racially pejorative.
Got it.
Now
Got it.
spell it.
No,
No.
No, not you. Not no, not
Forwards and
Roberta.
backwards.
oh,
Yeah.
No, you,
P-E.
JP.
Oh yeah, you spell it. Spelling bee.
We were in a
Impromptu.
spelling bee.
Pejorative. Um. P-R-O.
Nope. Eh.
All right, fine, whatever.
No, I don't know.
No, you're
Um,
right. It's Pejorative.
See, I got it wrong too. Okay.
I didn't even listen.
No, I was coming because you asked for. Can I have the definition, please? And I was like, oh,
Oh,
this
yeah.
about to be a spelling bee.
So yeah, it's something that this concept that the Jewish people are inherently greedy. something that has come around since the Middle Ages. And again, that we, for some reason, not we, but a lot of people tend to hold truth to that. If we want to talk about the very divisive right wing and our wonderful ex-president, if you think about who's doing all the funding, right, for all of their conspiracy theories, it's George Soros, who is a Jewish philanthropist, right? And so, again, stemming from that. And I know we kind of touched on the religious aspect, but I want to say greed has been a part of moral foundations in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and utilitarian universalism. Wow.
Whoa.
Tongue twister. So it's appeared
I'm
everywhere.
sorry, my brain just froze for a sec. Go on.
That's all right. It's okay. It's okay. So I want to share this quote from you guys, to you guys, because it is from Erich Fromm, and he is was a German American psychologist. And he said, greed is a bottomless pit which exhausts the person in an endless effort to satisfy the need without ever reaching satisfaction.
Ooh.
It's perfect.
Perfect, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to follow it up with this question. Does capitalism equal greed?
No.
No?
No.
Can we get a definition for capitalism, or should I?
For sure. No. I will be happy to give you a definition for capitalism. It's the economic system, right, based on the private ownership of means of production and their operation for profit. So they're going to produce what they're going to produce for their own profit. That is it. Central characteristics of capitalism. So this can include accumulation, right? Is there a difference between accumulation and hoarding? Think about that.
Yes.
Wow.
Competitive markets, pricing systems, private property rights, recognition, voluntary exchange, wage labor, which is another thing. Okay. So it's a very economic based, a very economic based way of running your system, your economy.
Capitalism creates competition.
Can I hit you guys with a fact?
Yes.
Okay, so a report done by Oxfam Worlds, and this was January 2020, so not that far off. The world's 2,153 billionaires hold more wealth than the 4.6 billion people who make up the poorest half of the global population.
Do you know how much impact like Elon Musk could have had instead of buying Twitter or doing the SpaceX thing? Like literally people would not be starving. You can donate $1 million or $2 million and you'll still be very wealthy, but he still would rather keep $1 million than putting it somewhere that is going to positively impact a person or even one family. He just rather it's my money.
Yeah. Well, that's also a fine line as well, because you ultimately could be offering help to someone who doesn't want it. They don't want your help. They don't want your money. They, maybe they're prideful, or I don't know. I don't know that it's that simple though. Like,
yeah.
You know,
like if it's greedy for these billionaires to not use some of their money to provide some philanthropy. But on the other hand, is that philanthropy even wanted by those that it's affecting? Is that what you're saying, JP?
Yeah, exactly.
What-
And I'm sure there is. It doesn't even have to be an entire society, right? It could be, it could be, hey, I want help. My neighbor doesn't want help. It could be,
You're right.
It can get very, very convoluted very, very quickly. On top of that, the masses may not agree with the philanthropy that you've chosen, right? So if I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't, I'm just going to keep this and
not deal with the pushback.
Fine.
Do you guys think that because we live in a world, in a culture that celebrates wealth and the pursuit of profit, that greed has become more acceptable in our society?
I would. And see, I think that there is a big difference between being rich and being wealthy. Wealth to me it's not a monetary thing. I'm very wealthy. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I'm one of the wealthiest people in the country. But wealth to me is defined very, very differently. Wealth to me is defined by my family, my children, my happiness with my career, like that.
Yeah.
I'm very wealthy. So, but with what you're talking about, like, yeah, I think it's most definitely way more acceptable.
It's almost like you don't even notice that it's happening until or the greed part, until it happens and there's a repercussions that happen from that. Then you're like, oh shit,
That's insidious.
I was greedy.
Yes. And that's one of the things, like, think about the inspirations for greed. Like, we have motivations are different from inspirations, right? So some of our inspirations for greed, right, like I said, scavenging and hoarding materials, first and foremost, making a profit. You got to think about theft, robbery, right, getting anything by means of violence, trickery, manipulation. So let me ask you guys this: do you think that there's a genetic basis or for greed? Do you think that it could be in our genes?
I think it could be within psychological I don't want to say issues, but personalities. Like narcissists, I feel like 100% are greedy as a defining part of their being, because everything's about themselves. I will say anything. I've experienced this too. Whatever it takes to get what I want, emotionally, physically, monetarily. That's narcissism, I feel like. Equals greed.
I wouldn't say that greed is genetic. I would say you can certainly be a product of your environment, your upbringing, this and that. But certainly that it is to is this point about narcissism, that it is it's chemical.
Do you think it's part? Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, like it's nurture versus nature kind of thing.
Yeah.
Learned behaviors.
I got a good movie for you on greed. It's called The Founder.
I've watched that. So
with Michael Keaton.
Yes, and you're
greed.
Spot on.
Greed.
Spot on.
Straight up.
Okay.
Founder. It's a good one.
Michael Keaton.
It's on Netflix, I think.
It's on Netflix. Don't tell her what it's about.
Okay, no, I'm not going to.
No, we're not going to spoil it.
Yes. But you, JP, are so spot on with that. Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you for suggesting it.
Thank you
because I
for
didn't
guiding
even
me through this. I
go
would be
there.
freaking lost. Are you kidding me? This is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So I want to tell you guys that there is some research out there, not a whole lot, that suggests that there is a ruthless gene that
interesting.
cause people to behave more selfishly. It's obviously something that would have to be, researched more and that sort of thing. However, it is out there. I think it also goes with one of those things where the inner workings of our brains. Say it, JP. Shit. Say it.
Say what?
Say it.
I'm not saying it.
Say it.
Say it out.
Neuroscience?
JP, I am
Neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity. Because there are. Who
Go ahead. Say
Thank you, Professor Huberman. Really appreciate you. And I would agree with that because certainly if there's a genome that can control greed, I have to believe that because I also believe that there's a happiness gene, and I think that I have it.
Yeah.
So,
but somebody who can see the positive out of anything negative. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's not a learned.
Share that. No.
Cool.
I try to be like that.
Cool. I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So, let me ask you this. Why do you think people are greedy then?
Oh, shit. That's way deep. Like, come on. I don't think it's one reason. It's not one reason.
Give whatever reasons you may think there are.
Fear.
It's not a one-word answer.
Fear.
Ooh.
Survival.
Fear.
Survival. Go ahead.
Status. Power, I think.
Power?
Mm-hmm.
Fear and power.
Wait a minute.
I like
what are the core emotions though? Because they're not greedy because they're happy.
No.
They're greedy because they're fearful. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and you touched on it. Happy people aren't greedy, right? Their
Happy
emotional
people
needs
aren't
aren't
greedy.
being met. Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
What about insecurity?
Yeah. Sad.
Mm-hmm.
They're angry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Angry. Yeah.
Resentment.
Yep.
Which kind of goes with anger.
With
Anger,
disgust. Resentment,
Mhm.
disgust. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the happy wheel. Berta talked about the happy wheel. Or not the happy wheel, emotions wheel.
Mm-hmm. Emotions wheel. It's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. You guys are so spot on. Like I said, insecurity is what they have is enough. Fear. I think Trump is a huge example of insecurity leading to greed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That dude talks a big talk for somebody who is terrified of what other people think about him. Let's just be real.
He's probably insecure about the size of his hands.
Well, you know what they say about small hands.
They wear small gloves.
Stop! I was just gonna say that stupid ass joke that we both it was a really dumb joke, but I was definitely about to say it. I was
hoping one of you guys would do it. So yeah, we have the unmet emotional needs, which could be something like an emotional trauma, right? Something like that. Replace the emptiness that they're feeling within themselves. They think they can fill it up with money, possessions, material things, right?
Yeah.
What about another deadly sin? Envy.
Segue? Next episode?
No, not yet.
Oh,
next episode.
Next episode, I was going to do envy. Yeah, so.
Cool.
Hint, hint.
Cool.
But yeah, because you see, look, this is the terrible, I hate
Keeping
this
up with the
example.
Joneses.
This is the example I'm going to use, and because it's so just right in your face. The Kardashians. They live a life of excess. They live a life in which they don't need all that crap.
Their life looks terrible.
Right?
And
They don't, none
we
of
don't
them look
hear
happy to me.
no, I don't hear about any kind of, philanthropy. I know they do, but not like Angelina Jolie and like Leo DiCaprio. They've devoted their lives and their, their person to their foundations because they know, like, I have plenty of money. Like George Clooney and his wife, like,
Hey, so question, like there's a Justin Bieber song that I was listening to. It was on the radio or whatever, and he talks about how it was actually very sad. I can't remember what it was because I'm not a Bieber fan. But it's like it talks about like everybody seeing him screw up and all that stuff, and it's like the Kardashians, if you consider them like modern day royalty, right? If that's all they've ever known, right? Like
yeah,
to the greedy person in that, in my opinion, is the person who films it. They're going to capitalize on that.
Ryan
Like,
Seacrest, I think.
They know nothing. They know nothing different. This is their life. As much as a prince knows nothing of the pauper. Like their lives are completely different. There are people that are completely content with their level of happiness, living with no electronics out in the woods, and a lot of times people that talking about maybe it is envy, maybe it's greed. The person who doesn't have those things can fantasize about the other, and the prince can fantasize on what it is to be a peasant, all that stuff. But the greedy person is the person who films that and then sells it to us. Like that.
Makes their
capitalism.
buck off of it.
Glamorizing, like to glamorize anything. Is frankly that's naive. It's because to glamorize anything is silly, because there's always going to be good and bad balance. So the Kardashians, their life looks terrible.
Well, and so it's just a product of society where it's like, look what I have and you can't have it.
Exactly. Or it's even, if we want to take it a step further, think about those people who have those kinds of followings and they're out there shilling stuff like detox tea or, weight loss lollipops or whatever, right?
Weight loss lollipops?
Yes.
Is that a real thing? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, the Kardashians were shilling them. That's why I'm using this as an example, because, and I'm not saying that they're not the only ones, but they're just the easiest ones to pick on.
They're an easy target. You're right.
They are. So obviously, they are not in any shortage of money, of things, of
they can run off royalties at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So why
on sex
do
tapes
they
alone?
need? Right. Why do they need to shill these things, to sell these things to their followers who follow them blindly and will do whatever they want because they are envious of the Kardashians and they want to live the life of the Kardashians? Why do the Kardashians in turn need to sell these products that are bad for health?
They're greedy. They need that.
And
they
pay.
They need people to want to be them. They need to be admired.
Yes.
And they probably sell so much, the payoff of I'm greedy, what can you pay me to just say, hey, this.
Give me
and
more. Give me more.
I don't know if it's gonna mess anybody up, but I know people love me, and how much can you pay me?
So it's so it's a spectrum, right? That's what it is. There's different levels of greed. We are all three of us are all guilty of some level of greed, right?
Yeah.
But the amount of impact, the impact on others is minimal. Hence, my family, for me, blah blah blah. The impact is minimal. So on the other end of the spectrum, you have what people call the 1% or the Kardashians. That would be on the extreme level. Look, if we go back to the biblical aspect of it and Proverbs, some people there's a staircase to hell. For others, it's a slip and slide. So like it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that money can buy happiness?
Hell no. But it can rent it.
I do think it could, just because the mental it just would make life so much less stressful that I could actually enjoy life itself, without
money can buy
having to
comfort.
worry. Yes, comfort.
Money can buy
There it is.
comfort.
Money can buy comfort,
Which
which
is-
can lead to happiness depending on your life, right? What you
Yeah.
have going on. Also, because Bella, I think all of us are not greedy people. I think we would all reach a point where, because I'm right there in that same boat with you, Bella. Like, oh gosh, money right now could help me tremendously and take a ton of stress off of me. However, I'm like, I don't need millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I just need enough to where it can, make me comfortable and make me not have to worry on the daily about providing a life, right? I think there's a difference because we know where our limit of excess would be.
That's a good
But
point.
to a millionaire, what's their level? That would be different than yours, wouldn't it?
Right. Exactly.
I feel like they maybe be more likely to say, maybe those are the people who are saying money can't buy happiness. Yes, it can for a lot of people. When you have everything, all you have left is how you feel about yourself, because you have everything. So you don't need to buy anything. You don't
have friends.
They don't have friends.
Not real friends anyway.
No.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to know who likes you for you versus who likes you for your money?
No.
Or what you have.
That's why, when I was first dating my wife, it did not matter if we went to, we didn't have to go anywhere extravagant. And all she wanted was my time. Like those are the people that you surround yourself with when you have nothing.
Yes.
But go win the lotto. Find out how many friends you got.
Okay, this is my last question for you guys.
Okay.
Are there any benefits to being greedy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I gotta get out of my picture because my dog wants out of my room.
Yeah.
Right.
There's totally a benefit to being greedy.
Let's hear 'em.
Learning something new. When you take greed for that time, play an instrument, learn to cook. There's totally the greed or desire to learn that thing can be beneficial, and where it can turn into a positive thing is you learn to play an instrument, you learn to sing, you ultimately become a musician, and then people give you you create a life for yourself from that greed, from that desire. But again, it is a fine line, right? Like you have to know where your stopping point is with your content. But I think there are benefits.
I think there are benefits in the sense that anybody can be greedy in the shittiest way. Step on people, what. It's the personal values that one carries that's going to be what stops somebody from being greedy. Because I know I can go out there. Yeah, your inner voice, your values. I can go out there and like scam people and whatever. And not feel bad about it, but I do feel bad about it, so I would never be intentionally greedy because I'm a better person than those who would do whatever it takes to get what they want. All of us are. So
yeah. And there are certain benefits to greed, like you guys were saying. There's also like economics, right? If we base our argument on greed, it's argued to stimulate the economy and productivity. It could be the motive to develop new products, to get something new out there. It can increase employment, right? And wealth and well-being, if we're talking about that. JP, hit on it where he said survival of the fittest. Sometimes, and think about even before there was civilization and animals, right? Survival of the fittest. Lions, they hoard their kills, and it's in hierarchy for who can feed, right? It's almost as if a survival of the fittest does go hand in hand with greed.
So, question is it greedy? We established that it's greedy to step on someone to get up the ladder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it greedy to let go of someone because if you don't, they're going to pull you down? Their downfall is their downfall, which they choose, and they want to take you with them. So is it greedy?
Is that where it goes into self-interest?
Self-preservation.
Ooh, self-preservation,
self-interest, survival of the fittest, right?
Yeah.
So is this you're saying it's either me or you that goes, kind of like that?
And they've made a choice that they're already going, and they want to take you with them, or they're going to bring you down, and it's going to negatively impact you. You know.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but no, that was a really good question because I didn't even think of it that way. But I think that is when your self-interest is not greed. That's you saying, I need to do what's best for me. And I'm not going to have you pull me down because it's not going to be good for me.
Let's simplify it for the society that we live in. You got a friend. They've been friends the whole life. Maybe, you have alcohol together. Alcohol is having a major negative effect on you, and ultimately you are choosing to abstain. And it's having it's having a positive impact on the rest of your life, but it's having a negative impact on your friendship because that person's not going to stop drinking. What do you do? Some people go back to drinking alcohol so that they can have that relationship. Other people, you have to step away from that person. They can't be part of your life anymore. Yeah.
And because it is in their best interest.
It behooves them to make you drink more. It behooves you to not.
Behooves. I love it.
Pejorative.
Also, I just want to throw this in there because I thought it was rather interesting in that study that the Dutch researchers did, or the doctors. They were actually doctors. Those people who were greedy, they had a higher number of sexual partners, but shorter romantic relationships.
I could see that.
Okay. And this is what I'm going to leave you guys with, and then I'm going to shut up.
No.
So, Democritus, who I believe is the father of democracy, Democritus, and he was a Greek philosopher.
I would believe that.
Yeah. This is what he has to say. It is greed to do all the talking, but not want to listen at all.
Shit.
I mean, it's true. It's like and this is not targeted at you, JP, but it's like you want to hear the sound of your own voice, so you want to talk versus and get your point across versus not wanting to hear, not caring about anything else. JP, this is not at you.
It's not.
I'm totally guilty of this.
But no, you're not.
Am I listening, or am I just waiting for my opportunity to speak? I don't know.
You're so funny.
Well,
I keep going back to fucking Trump, man. He is like the antithesis of greed to me.
Yeah.
Because you think of that man. He just talks and talks and talks and talks. He loves to hear the sound of his voice. Does he say anything worthwhile? No.
So would you say that for somebody who talks a lot, he doesn't say much?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, you're nothing like him, JP.
But you aren't.
I know nothing. No,
because
of course not.
Okay. Good. I'm glad. I was about to.
My hands are totally proportionate to my body. Roberta, like, thank you so much for guiding us through this. But really, it's
Yeah, it's been a great.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about myself, about what I should be feeling guilty for and what not, and then
No
what was my
guilt.
fault
No,
and
she's
what
right.
was not.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
just-
like the work-life balance thing, like I was talking about,
Mhm.
like, hey, be cognizant, be cognizant.
yeah,
There you go.
like it's not. You're taking something away from somebody else if you're putting too much something into yourself that's not needed.
Yeah, but don't
to
forget about me time
survive.
either. You know, balance.
Yeah.
Balance.
Time is not
Look.
That
greedy.
counts. Being time is not greedy. Yeah.
It is necessary.
I got a great sign off. I have a great sign off.
Okay, here we go.
I have
All
a
right,
great
we're
sign
gonna
off.
wrap it off, and then we are doing our sign offs. And thank you, Roberta, for all your research. This was so fun. I can't wait for the next one, but you don't have to tell us what it is. Hold on.
Okay.
I like the
I'm
surprise.
excited. Good.
Yeah.
And I liked as I was taking my notes, I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to ask him this question and this question."
Yeah,
and this
that's
question.
great.
That's cool.
Because and it's really interesting to hear like what your guys' thoughts are and your perspectives, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. So. You're awesome. But
Very much.
all right, so let's
You guys are
give our
awesome.
sign offs. My sign off is peace. I'm frozen. Hold on.
My sign off is I still don't have one.
JP.
My sign off is don't be greedy. Everything in moderation except heroin.
Very good, everybody. All right. Well, I will have this up, and thanks, guys. We'll talk about the next one next time.